Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning into Zen's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So, today we will be discussing Fate of the Fallen by Kel Kincaid. And I have to say, this was really an unexpected delight. I did not think that I was going to enjoy this novel as much as I did. I mainly just picked it because it was my book of the month. October 2019 book of the month option, and it was the only one of the 5 books that I even remotely was interested in. So I kind of just picked it because I'm like, well, seems interesting. It's fantasy. I like fantasy. Let me just pick it. And obviously, it's been on my shelf for a little over 2 years now, and I'm finally getting around to it. And I have to say, I really did enjoy the novel. Again, more than I thought I was going to, because Cade just takes a lot of those fantasy tropes and literally flips them on their head. So the story follows, there's this prophecy, right? And in the prophecy, the chosen one is going to save everyone from darkness, and should something bad befall the chosen one, should he die, we will all be doomed. There's literally every line of the prophecy says as much. Like, yeah, nothing can happen to this guy. So, I will say this, however. I think when I first started the story, there was a disconnect between me and the story. And I think it's because I was taking the story too seriously. When you see a cover kind of like this, very dark, kind of somber, I was expecting a more serious tone. And then especially the prologue, you have an opening line like this. You have all heard of the time when the dead didn't tread upon the land. And then it ends with, went too far. It ends with, it begins in a forest. So your prologue is setting up the tone of your narrative. And for me, I personally took it a little bit too seriously. Little more somber. And honestly, that was detrimental to my overall enjoyment of the story to begin with. But, I went back and forth. Again, I've said this probably in my last couple of videos, trying to do audiobooks and physical books at the same time. So sometimes there'll be different books, and in this case, this one was the same book. So I went back and forth between the audiobook that I got from my Scribd subscription and this book, just so that I could read more, because, mom of 2, I got one kid who just takes my books from me and opens them, and he's like, like, he wants me to read it to him, and then I start reading it, and he's like, no, I want to read it to you. Cute kid. I love my son. So, I don't really get a chance to, read at home. And if I'm not at home, I'm at work, and then, So, I go back and forth between audiobooks and physical books. And it was around chapter 3 that I started the audiobook version, and my enjoyment just kind of shifted. I was hearing the voice acting, the production, and I'm like, wow, this is funny. Like, why wasn't I hearing the humor before? And it's not that the humor is not there. You definitely see it in her writing. The problem was, again, I was taking the story too seriously. once I stopped taking the story so seriously, I found that I was enjoying it way more than I initially had. But again, that prologue, I think, the prologue itself is a little more serious, and then you have the opening line. You have not the opening line. You have Aslo. He's a forester. He's a very serious guy, especially compared to Matthias. Matthias being our hero. Not Matthias. Aslo's he's a forester. He takes his job very seriously as a forester. He's never exclaims. He's just, this is it. This is the fact. He's very factual. He's very punctual. He's very serious. That's probably another reason why I was taking the story so seriously. But it's not until he goes on this grand adventure, and it is quite hysterical, the things that happen to him on this grand adventure. So, spoiler alert, Matthias, again, he's our hero. If anything bad happens to him, everyone's doomed, right? He is the chosen one, literally. He's literally the chosen one of the prophecy. Yeah, he loses his head in, I think, chapter 3. He's dead. But he's still around. He's more of a figment of Aslo's imagination, who Aslo carries his head around in a magical pouch for the rest of the book. I mean, tell me that's not hilarious. It's funny when you're reading it. You're just like, where do you go from here? Your chosen hero, he's dead now. What are you gonna do now? So it's just like, it's funny. It's funny to see the events unfold. And I like the voice of the characters, especially because you have your misfit team. And it's a really weird team. You've got 2 thieves, Aslo, your unexpected new hero. You have the Magi, who's a healer, who never even got to finish her training at school because she was kicked out. And then you have the other Magi, who is a seer, who just says, nope, sorry, can't tell you that. Oh, we shouldn't go down this line of the prophecy. Can't tell you why, but we shouldn't do it. And it's just like, why are you here? If you're going to tell us anything useful, just why are you here? It's funny. It's a full. And our gosh, I wish I could remember her name. No, it's not Galabar. Not Myropa, although Myropa's great. Tezza. Tezza's funny. Tezza is no nonsense. She's just hilarious. She's just like snarky. She has an attitude. She's pretty, she's the only one who realizes that Aslo talks to himself, kind of. And she's like, are you talking to me? Or are you talking to your dead friend? And she just says it like it's perfectly normal. He's like, I'm crazy. She's like, well, then you're not crazy. If you were crazy, you wouldn't really know that you're crazy. She's funny. She's very matter-of-fact as well. And very expressive. I just love the character dynamics in this novel. I love the voice. I love the humor. And I love how Kate is literally flipping a lot of those fantasy tropes on their head. And just, it's chaos. The book is kind of chaotic. But again, it's a funny kind of chaos because our hero's dead. Our supposed prophesized chosen one dies in chapter 3. and you're just reading it and you're like, I was not expecting that. And that's another thing I love about this story. It's 100% unpredictable. I didn't see it coming. You probably wouldn't have seen it coming. The book, it's just funny. It's really funny. The things that happen to Aslo R. Forrester, his new unexpected journey out of his forest, and on his way to help out the kingdom, like trying to look for a new hero. And in his quest to find a new hero, he becomes the hero. And he's like, look, I don't want to be a hero. I just want to go back to my forest. But we can't just give up living because my friend is dead. Like, I was there. I saw him die. You don't see me just laying down to die. But everyone else is like, no, we can't do this without him. Sorry. No, can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. And it's just like, are you dense? Like, is that it? Are you all dense? You're just gonna stop living? And everyone's like, yeah, we're just gonna prepare for the end. So, sorry. And he's just like, y'all morons. That's basically his entire thought process. You're all morons. And he's not wrong. Now, the story doesn't just follow Aslo, it does also follow Myropa. She's a reaper. She collects the souls of the dead, and she's kind of caught in the middle of the gods. You know, the god of war, the god of life. They're just like, she's like, what's happening right now? She's completely confused because the one side of the gods want to do one thing, another side of the gods want another thing. And honestly, you can't take the gods seriously either in this book. They're ridiculous. And it seems like Myropa, our Reaper, is the only one among them who has any sense. So, I have to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. It really was well done. It really was funny. It was entertaining. I do want to read book 2 now to see what the heck is going to happen. Because clearly, as Lou says today, if, we have a prologue, and clearly, prophecy kind of failed. So, I want to see where this book is going. Really well written, good voice, good characterization. Just word of warning, don't take the book too seriously when you first start reading it. And you'll be able to enjoy it more. Because for me, there was a slight disconnect. I wasn't hearing the humor, but I was seeing it on the page, but I wasn't hearing it in my head. If that makes any sense. Again, disconnect between me and the book initially. I was taking it too seriously when I really shouldn't have been taking it that seriously. Don't ask me why. I'm weird. But once I stopped taking it so seriously, I ended up really loving the story, and I just flew through it. So again, The Fate of the Fallen by Kelkane, 4 out of 5 stars. Remember to purchase the book from your local bookseller or online book retailer. Support small businesses via bookshop.org. Support your local bookstore. There's not one in your neighborhood. Purchase on bookshop.org or on Barnes & Noble online. I just ask that you get your books from booksellers versus buying them off of Amazon. Money's tight. Please remember to check out the book from your local library if you're really determined to save money. Support your bookstores. Support your library. On that note, I hope you all continue to support me here by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.